I hope my Spanish teacher isn't listening. I don't remember much of it, but I'm going to have to refresh before Bad Bunny performs.
All right, let's get to Monday Night Football, where we had the Dolphins take down the New York Jets for their first win at home in Miami, 27-21. They cover as 2.5-point favorites. Over hits there, 44.5. My number for this one was 3. Jets fumbled 3 times, 3 big ones too. Well, one was on 4th down, Justin Fields, but it gave him good field position because he just basically threw it backwards. Reminded me of that one play with the Bears a few years back where he was just running backwards, fumbled. I digress. I just wanted to bring that up for Kyle's sake. One was on the goal line. One was the kickoff to return to start the second half. Basically just sealed their fate right then and there as the Miami Dolphins went down and scored right after that. But the big news from this game, it's not that the Miami Dolphins won their first football game. It's that Tyreek Hill career may be over. Dislocated knee. And if you don't know what a dislocated knee is, never heard of that, it's because it's a rarity. It means you tore all 4 ligaments in your knee, ACL, MCL, PCL, LCL. At 31 years old, this might be it for him, unfortunately.
It sucks because it felt like the Dolphins finally found their flow offensively. They finally looked like the Dolphins we expected them to look like. They had the run game going. They had all their options in the passing game going. Tyreek Hill was getting involved a lot. Darren Waller was catching touchdown passes, which, he played. Not only did he play, but they had the specific game plan for him to get the ball on third
on
down.
People's heads, dude.
He was dunking on dudes. And you know what? I was very critical of Darren Waller, especially when the Dolphins traded for him. But being 6'6" doesn't change when you retire, when you come back. That height travels. So
he actually looked good too. He was getting open. I mean, he might even be used more in the future. I don't think this was just a flash in the pan.
Definitely will have to be, right? I mean,
yeah, he's gonna have to now, especially with Tyreek out. But it sucks for the Dolphins because you finally get something good going. And then it's yanked all the way at immediately during the game. And you could tell as soon as he went down, everybody's like, oh no, this is not good. And it just sucks for the Dolphins.
Even if it was a torn hamstring and he knew it was torn and he went off to the side and it was immediately, oh gosh, Tyreek is out. It's really serious. Or if it's, an Achilles, you look around and you're in that huddle and you're like, God, that's our guy. That's the guy who makes everything happen offensively for us. It's equally as important as having a guy like Tua at quarterback for your team. And I'll tell you, the psychological impact is not only does our offense look differently, but people lose that feeling of invincibility as a football player. And usually when you play and you're healthy, you forget that there's even a chance you could be hurt. And then you see something happen to a superhero like Tyreek Hill from a physical standpoint. It's like Tyreek Hill, Myles Garrett, and maybe a handful of other guys that are in that outlier category physically. So as a player, you're like, man, if it can happen to him, it can happen to me. You start looking behind you when you're blocking people. You start looking around piles, and it's that hesitation that costs you the margins of performance. Now, as far as the recovery goes from something like this, obviously, I don't know. But back to my comments about him being an outlier physically, if there is anybody on planet Earth that I think would be able to gain the muscle mass, reconnect the ligaments, rehab to some semblance of his former self, it would be Tyreek Hill. He is, for people that have never seen this guy in person, I've put my hand on his shoulder and be like, oh my God, he's just like a ball of clay. He's just a beast, so muscular, no fat on his body. If there's anybody I would bet on to get back on the horse, it would be Tyreek. But I would also understand if a guy like Tyreek is my superpower is speed and explosion. I don't feel like myself. There's no point in me being back out there. Really tough situation for Tyreek and the Dolphins.
Yeah. So like I said, knee dislocations are pretty rare. If you recall, Robert Edwards, one of the more famous ones, former Patriots. I believe he was a rookie of the year, or at least 1,000-yard back his rookie year. Did it in the Pro Bowl beach game back in the day when they used to have that. They ended it after that because he dislocated his knee in that game, never really got back to form again. But the guy who did get back to form after a knee dislocation Nick Chubb, sophomore year at Georgia, had a knee dislocation and then obviously went on to the NFL, but a little different rehabbing at 19 years old versus 31 years old here for Tyreek Hill. So hopefully he can come back, but obviously at this point in his career, that's pretty devastating. I don't know about you guys. I texted you after I saw this, but the Tua Tagovailoa slide, I screamed no. Like I slid, he gets popped, like his head hit. Like that was, I thought maybe on the replay it would show, oh, okay, like shoulder hit and his head never really hit. That was the first time he really took a head shot since obviously everyone knows what happened last season. I thought we were going to see the worst, man. I just did. Just given how easily it happened to him last year. But thank God for that, because if they would have lost them both in one game, that would have been pretty devastating.
Tua was feeling himself yesterday. Did you guys see the little flip reverse that they ran? That's like one of Tua's like best like traits is the ball handling, where he can do those reverses. The touchdown to the H-Chan where they like, I think it's like a freeze like option play where they have the fullback lead out on toss. It was really cool, and the Dolphins do it a lot. But he faked like he was like handing the ball off to nobody, and then turned around and flipped it back to H-Chan. It's what the Dolphins like do best to try and get their guys in space. But Tua was out there; he was feeling himself a little bit. I think that's kind of like the slide was the heat check.
Dude, given the Dolphins running game, if it's probably a foregone conclusion at this point, if Mike McDaniels isn't their coach next year, that guy needs to be in demand as an OC, because what he does in their running game to scheme around what is a shoddy offensive line, to say the least, like he still does a ton of creative stuff. I think a lot of teams will be beating down his door to have him be an OC. And it feels like a guy who could also be one of those where it's like he had his thing at head coach, and then he'll be an OC for like a decade and not go back to like a Vic Fangio, or Vic Fangio at this point in his career. There's no chance he's ever leaving DC in Philly to become a head coach. You get a guy who's one of probably the top 10 sort of schemers in the NFL, and probably wouldn't be going anywhere after this season to jump back to a head coaching job.
It's like Spags in Kansas City. When I got to spend time with him,
that's
that's a man who is comfortable in his own skin and comfortable in his own role, because he's been in the other role and he knows how it can make your skin crawl. Mike McDaniels probably had a similar experience. As far as Tua, it been enough time. I know that these things are, if it happens with enough frequency, it never heals. I wonder if we have had enough time pass for Tua's situation to really, for a lack of a better term, heal or recuperate. Like you get your overshield and Halo, you get it knocked down, you got to wait 20 seconds for that thing to charge back up before you can go into battle.
You copping Tua's cranium to the Halo.
No, you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm kidding. I know.
These are the conversations we've had before about, if it happened 2 weeks ago, all it takes is a flick to have something happen. So like maybe the time has passed. The other thing I want to point out is I know they got their butts whooped. Sorry, not supposed to swear jar, put it in there. They got their butts whooped week 1 by the Colts, who turned out to be a pretty good football team. It's been 1-score games, for this Dolphins team. And we have a lot of much maligned conversations about the Dolphins. And, it's like there's people ganging up on the Dolphins a lot. I just want to point out these guys are in every ball game except for week 1. They can still be dangerous. And with Waller playing the way he's playing, and to your point, McDaniel, his ability to scheme up the run game, get creative, get the ball out of Tua's hand quick, they're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be in a lot of ball games.